What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with my next Archetype video. This time, I'll be taking a look at the barrier statues. The barrier statues are an amalgamation of 6 particular monsters, each of them corresponding with a particular type and attribute. These monsters were first released in Cyber Dark Impact, and their whole goal is to allow to pretty much force monsters to be played of only their particular attribute. The barrier statues themselves do take equip to not only their specific attributes, but primarily monsters of that particular attribute or type, and both design and outlook. For 3 of them have rings above their heads, which equates to their summoning circles and the objective of what they are in terms of monsters in their in their attribute stand, whilst the others have theirs on the ground, symbolizing their summoning circle in their particular equities to their summoning or their types and attributes. So we'll be taking a look at all 6 of these monsters. Now, to note, the similarities between them is, of course, their ability to select out those monsters of the particular attribute. They have a particular type, so you can fit them into those particular types of decks that do suffice them, as well as attribute particular decks as well. They all share the same level in attack and defense. They're level 4, 1000 attack, and 1000 defense. So without further ado, let's get into some depth of these particular monsters. And we're going to start off with the first one, and that is this lovely monster here. This is Barrier Statue of the Heavens. This monster reads, no monsters can be social summoned except for light monsters. The Barrier Statue of the Heavens is equipped to an angel. This is also a reference to the OCG. For the OCG, this monster's name is known as the Barrier Statue of Flash, where there is, of course, the light that shines from the heavens. This monster is a fairy type to particularly the decks that primarily will use it, such as agents, lightsworn, counter fairies, and those particular decks that are based off of light. You probably could fit this into some of the modern day light decks as well. The crazy thing about this monster overall is there was no censorship. There's no, removal of a halo or anything within it, and primarily because it just being the states of an angel. Maybe that's why they didn't go too far with it. This is just a statue that depicts the looks of a fairy, well, of an angel, because in the OCG, fairy is swapped out. I mean, is not in the OCG. It's actually referred to angel type. So, yeah. Now, let's move on to the polar opposite of light, and of course, that fits with dark. This is the barrier statue of the abyss. Um, this monster effect reads, no monsters can be social summoned except for dark monsters. This monster equates of a fiend or demon, which is also equates to the angels being those of the heavens. This monster is a monster of hell, or, the underworld. For this monster's dark attribute and fiend type who has set in here in the TCG. We can fit this into decks such as, well, you probably fit this in Orcos for the most part, because I think most of them are dark attribute. You can definitely fit this into decks like, uh, well, if you want to run something a little risque, you can fit this into Shadal. For most of that deck is primarily dark itself, with a classically Acapulone and Winda being 2 of the main monsters that you would probably focus on if that's ever the case. Dark World, for the fact that that is a pure dark deck itself. The Danger Archetype, because they are primarily Fiend and Dark Attribute monsters there. You can definitely equip this into a lot of dark attributed decks just because of the fact that it will stand for dark. And in Fiend, you can easily put Dark World giving it a go, or maybe Burning Abyss. This monster equips itself rising from the underworld, as it has a summoning circle around it, but it's standing in a very grimace like location with a lot of darkness around it. There was no alterations to this monster either, for there are no horns, as we can tell from this monster's artwork. And actually, in the OCG to TCG, later reprints of the barrier statues, they give them a lot more of a darker tone, so you can see a lot more of the detail of them being statues. But of course, dark is the counter opposite to the light. One is descending from the heavens, the other one is ascending from the earth. Now let's move on to the next attributes. We're gonna start off with the barrier statue of drought. So this monster is Earth attribute rock type, and its ability is no monsters can be special summoned except for Earth monsters. So Earth primarily means two beast, and warrior type monsters. While this monster quits itself of the ground of the Earth itself in a very dust-like area. The barrier statue of the drought can work in a lot of Earth attributed decks. Primarily, we're looking at Machina because they are all machine. Dino because there are a ton of Earth attributed monsters within that archetype. And you can probably equate this to a lot of old synchro based decks, such as. Well, actually, no, you can equate this to a lot of Earth decks, like possibly essential, because if you look at, um, what was it, the fossils, who are said to get their new support, you can easily equate to them, or the Monoliths, who are rock attributed monsters, and Earth attributed monsters, I believe, in their ritual based. So you have a little fun with that. This monster has a dust storm around it, as it is equipped to being the symbol of Earth, and that it is in the shape of some beast-like creature. We move on from Earth and we talk about, well, my favorite attribute, wind. This is the barrier statue of the storm winds, known in the OCG as the barrier statue of gales. So this wingy beast monster reads that neither player can, no monsters can be summoned except for wind monsters. So this monster takes the form of a bird who is within a windstorm, or could be possible tornado or hurricane. As we all know, the wind has its connections to the sky, being able to fly and spread your wings out gracefully and diligently. Now, in terms of the decks that this card can be used in, of course, the Harpies are one, as well as the uh, some more decks that you can easily find this card in. You can probably splash this card into a lot of other wind-based decks. We can take a good look at a few of them. I mean, what is there? There's um, Speedroid, which is wind attribute. You can take this into a quit of the Shiranui, for most of those monsters are wind themselves. Play around with I want to say Yosenju because they're wind attribute as well. But for the most part, the Wingy Beast take advantage of this. And of course, when some more the Bird of Sovereigns comes out, a lot of decks are going to probably, a lot of Harpie and some more decks will probably see this card in a lot of their usage and builds because this card is a great defensive capability. I mean, great defensive card against a lot of decks in the game because many of them do not have wind in the extra deck, and unless they're bold enough to run wind in the extra deck and survive that monster. So this, of course, is the elemental opposite to the barrier statue of droughts. As the as the monster, as the statue itself is on the ground, this one is in the air. One depicts of a winged beast, while the other one depicts of a rock or a beast creature on the ground itself. So that is wind and earth. And now we move on to the next one, and that is the barrier statue of torrent, known in the OCG as the barrier statue of downpour. So this this water attributed aqua type monster, reason no monsters can be summoned except water monsters. Water is the game here, as this card can look like an amalgamation of many things. Um, and based on those things that can be based off of, you can easily feel that it could be used in a lot of those decks. You have the image that it could be a frog, meaning you use it in the frog decks or the Paleozoic. You can fit this card into Mermill Atlantean because they are primarily water attribute there. And then, of course, the Mer Princesses, who are also water attribute and can take the look of a sea serpent, fish, or aqua type monster. Primarily because this monster is also aqua itself. Now, in the case of this monster, it has the image of a rainstorm or a downpour in its background, which also gets to the hint of its OCG name, which for the kanji in a lot of their names do depict exactly the image that it has in the background, which is funny because only 4 out of the 6 have their names changed differently from the OCG to TCG. So, with the rain shining behind this monster, we move on to its polar opposite, and that is the last of the barrier statues, the barrier statue of Inferno, known in the OCG as the barrier statue of Hellfire. So, this fire attribute pyro type monster has the effect of no monsters can be special summoned except for fire monsters. So this monster takes the image of an infernal creature. He says that, funny enough, it's not this one being called um, any dark attribute or anything, but this monster is reflecting the images of fire. It has a giant fire. It literally has a giant flash fire around it. It's summoning itself through the flash fire. And I mean, you can depict anything of this card. It could be a pyro creature coming out of the ground or coming through the flames, giving it that significant look. Now, in terms of fire attributed decks, there's only a range of few I can think of. One, of course, being Salamangreat because they're primarily fire. Then you have, people adore and love the Volcanics and their mechanic there. You can also look like Lavels for them being primarily fire and their abilities to circumvent dumping monsters and bringing them back up and primarily playing with the fire attribute itself. Now, the other thing that I can really say about this card in terms of it overall is I would love to know exactly what creature it is um, being depicted in this, because you can't really think of any fire creatures like in the world. Most of those fire creatures are just basically fable. I mean, you can't name this a dragon for the fact that it's pyro, but it could be the image of a dragon. So, in the course to this elemental opposite, we do have the barrier statue of Torrent. While one is water, the other is fire. You also rinse into fire and ice. Also, being polar opposites, is water is used to make ice, and ice itself is cold, while fire itself is hot. So that is an amalgamation of everything here for you guys here in the TC for not only TCG but for this video as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this Archetype video. And of course, check out the rest in the playlist. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. HPJ signing out. Take care.